One of the things that I do want to talk a bit more about is how to actually go and engage with politicians, especially when it's a cause you might care about or, something you want to see more of maybe your politician talking about or even the government doing. It's about putting pressure on. So, first thing, as I would always say, go join groups, Um, go join groups, go be part of the Facebook groups, go get involved with like what they're doing, look at what they're saying, look if they maybe do a petition, look at if they say, oh hey, here's this letter chart or email template that you can use to send an email to your MP. We'll get onto that in a moment as well. But a lot of the things, putting pressure, talking to your MP, really, 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 really important to do. And as I've said this before in the past, not a lot of people write to their MPs. And I've said this and I have stressed this, I don't know how many times. Every single year, make sure you are committing to sending 2 to 3 letters to your MP a year. Because I'll tell you now, you doing that in your local community, even if, let's say, you still have a Conservative MP that will not agree with some of the stuff you say, still do it. Because it does have a bigger impact than you think. So do that. Not only that, but if you get an opportunity to go to their surgery, they have an open surgery, go on down. Say, oh yes, do you remember that letter I sent you back in, bloody, bloody blah. Do that. So I want to show you an example here of how to do that and why sort of the things, really in some issues and cases, these MPs need the backing and sort of space in a way to be able to talk about some of this stuff. So before we do go more into this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the one of today's link called Buy Me Coffee. We can all buy me coffee. And of course, as always, you can always click on the YouTube thank you button. And of course, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So let's crack on and into this. So this came out not too long ago. In fact, yesterday. Yesterday, in fact. Yes. Let me just double check the date. So this came out. So Labour does not have a mandate to take Britain back into the EU, says Public. This came from YouGov, big polling data. However, what it does say is something very more interesting. So, yet most would support rejoining and would vote to do so in a referendum. So, obviously, this is saying, hey, look, the Labour doesn't have a mandate. Well, Labour did not say that in their manifesto. If they did say that in the manifesto that they were going to, rejoin the EU, they would have a mandate to do so, but they didn't say so in their referendum. However, one thing it does say as it goes on, and it asked other people, what about future relationships and future forms of relationship would people want? And ultimately, as it comes through this, a lot of people are saying not only do they want a far, far, far more positive relationship with the European Union, but they also would like to see us join the single market and even the customs union even more. In fact, the customs union is incredibly popular amongst even people who voted to leave and thinking that that is the correct way to do that. And of course, at the bottom here, you see this. If there was a new EU referendum, Brits would vote to join by 59 to 41%. So that would be a very, very clear win in all this. I think this really does go to show you that there is a significant push by our pro-EU people to do that and to rejoin the EU. But to do that at the moment, one of the things we said in the lead up and to this election, why is Labour not talking about it? Why is Labour not going to talk about it? Well, they saw if you do a referendum, it could be a big can of worms. It could distract from a lot of other stuff that they want to do. If they want to do some of the stuff during now, which they see as more important stuff, that's fine. That's okay. I've said before, I agree with that. However, the other thing that I've said before, this parliament in particular, we can start to have and finally start to have proper conversations about Brexit. So, given the fact that you now see that all that information, the fact that we do see a really good majority of Brits not only want to have a lot more positive relationships with the EU, but to even rejoin the customs union, that is a significant step. That is a very, very significant step. But in order to do that, we have to now start pushing our parties, and I say all parties here, in towards that direction. So, how do you then go about it? Well, quite simply, first things first, write a letter. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be handwritten. You can print it out. But here's the thing, write a letter. Talk to your MP about that YouGov poll. Talk to them about how there is a now majority and that you would like to see them bring up the problems that Brexit is creating for the UK economy. If you know any businesses that are being affected by this, are you a business owner? Write to them. Talk to them about how it is affecting their business and about, hey, if there is this, majority, which YouGov says there is, to rejoin something about the customs union, should you not be looking at that as a potential option? And thus, this is how you give MPs space to talk about this. So that's one way. Write them a letter, send them an email. Those are two things you can do. And it takes less than 10 minutes to do it. Even quicker if you use something like ChatGPT, because you can say to ChatGPT, hey, I want to write a letter to my MP. It is about this, use this information. And this is the objective of the letter to get them to be more, something like that. ChatGPT will fire out a thing for you, take it, amend it how you want it to be. Job's done. Emails there for you. And one thing you must include, because this is apparently a big bugbear of MPs. Remember at the bottom where you say who you are, who you are sending it. Remember to put your name, address, and postcode. So remember to do that. Because otherwise they just throw it in the bin because they don't know if it's a local or not. So please, please, please do remember to do that. And then, of course, you can do that, write to them, I always encourage writing, emailing your MP, very, very important. Go see them at the surgeries if you can, have a talk about that in person as well. But let's say you start doing that and they stand up in Parliament and do that. Then what do? Well, first things first, congratulate them, social media them, say, oh, hey, saw you stand up and in favor of, talking about the problems of Brexit, etc. Support them on social media. If it's not your MP that's doing it, tag your MP into that post as well. Write to your MP, say you should be supporting, I don't know, MP so-and-so in this as well. That is important. And even if, as I've said, if you have like a conservative whatever, still do the same as well. Still do the same as well, because I really do believe eventually, well, they're not there yet at the moment, but eventually we have to sort of look at turning the Conservatives back into a pro, EU party. And I think that as time moves on, when the Conservatives maybe do end up in a place of sort of self-retrospection, shall we say, then they will look back and go, oh, actually, a lot of our problems started really in 2015, where we started to give space to this crazy right-wing free market fundamentalist wing of our party. And that's where all our problems started. There's eventually they will get there. And also, as I said, they will need support as well. So even if, again, you aren't a conservative, but you have a conservative MP, write to them as well. Say, hey, your party did Brexit. This is still a problem. I'm a businessman. I live in this area. That is still a problem that you are now sort of causing. But also, do not be afraid to write to ministers as well. So obviously, we've got a new business minister. Write to them as well if you are a business. Don't be afraid to write to them, but also write to your MP as well. Say that you are writing to your to the business minister as well. Heck, even ask them to say, "I would like to write to the business minister in the future. How would I go about doing so?" The MP office will respond to you again if you give them that information at the bottom, showing that you are local. They will actually respond with the information about how you can go about doing that. So do not be afraid to do that. And as I've said before, we as sort of the pro EU rejoin movement, this is something we've really got to start to do. Start to give MPs the space to be able to have these conversations and know that if they do have these conversations, that they are going to get support in doing so. And that is the big key support idea there. Doing that, giving them support. So that's how you go about it. But do let me know what you think. If you've got any other sort of ways to do that, let me know down below. And of course, if you do this, do let me know what responses you get from your MPs, etc. Like I say, I'm going to be doing one very soon to sort of Dan Jarvis. We'll see if we get a response from Dan. But don't worry, I will read out that response if we do get one. So as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, thank you to all those people who do help support the channel. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.